Hi, yes, it's me. And let's get right into it for the very curious news from around the globe with the amazing Conrad. Very curious news item. Number 1. Spurs have started to Spurs. With their 2-1 loss yesterday to a Leicester City side that looked like their old selves from 2 seasons ago, Spurs have already lost 4 league games this season, which is a troubling sign since they only lost 4 games in the league all of last year. And now they have their manager Mauricio Pochettino. He's questioning the fight of his players publicly, and that is a tactic that never seems to go over well. So good luck to Spurs the rest of the season. Very curious news item. Number 2. Ashley Cole is alive! After watching the former English international disappear in many games for the LA Galaxy last season, I'll be honest, I was worried about him, but he's come out of hiding to state that his former club Chelsea, though 11 points behind Manchester City, still have a chance to win the Premier League. And as much as I want to believe Ashley Cole's words, for all the Chelsea supporters who watch my channel, and I love you guys, I still think the team misses the bite and arrogance that Diego Costa brought to the group last season. But if they can go on a run and build up some confidence and belief in December, which is more than possible given their schedule, which doesn't include any opponents that is in the top half of the table, unless you count 10th place Southampton and 9th place Brighton, which I don't, because Brighton's not gonna finish in the top half. They're not gonna do it. And then who knows with Southampton, sometimes they're good and sometimes they're not. And with their one Champions League game being against Atletico Madrid at home at Stamford Bridge, I really feel like it's fair to expect them to go undefeated. And if they do, and then if they pick up Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang in the transfer window like is being rumored right now, then it's possible. But I'm gonna have to say very unlikely. As much as I wanna say that it's not, 11 points, even with Aubameyang or whoever else, even with Diego Costa at this point. Just don't see it. But Ashley Cole wasn't finished. He then went on to say that the currently undefeated Manchester City team would not beat the Invincibles team that he played on in 2004, but then he added, no bias. First of all, it's all bias. You can't say no bias if you played on the goddamn team. It's not allowed, it's against the rules. Second, that Invincibles team was pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie, so I'm not sure if the current City squad could beat them either, but I guess it depends on whether you think the Premier League was better then or if it's better now. And that's really hard for me to say, so maybe we should just stack up the players one by one and then judge it from there. What do you think? I think it's a really good idea. Starting with the goalkeepers, and Jens Lehmann was in goal for the Invincibles. Ederson is in goal for City. And I feel like it's still too early to know how great Ederson is gonna end up being, plus experience is such a key thing in the goalkeeper position, so I'm going to say that Lehmann gets the nod in this one. Then with the back 4, Arsenal had Laurent, Kolo Touré, Sol Campbell, and Ashley Cole as the regular starters, while City has Kyle Walker, Nicolas Otamendi, John Stones, and Fabian Delph. And yes, I don't think anyone can argue that City has a better back 4 than the Invincibles one. Like, in each position, there's not even like one guy on City who's better than one of the back 4. In the Invincibles. Then in midfield, Arsenal had Patrick Vieira, Gilberto Silva, Robert Perez, and Freddie Ljungberg versus Fernandinho, who I liken to Gilberto Silva, and Kevin De Bruyne and David Silva, and I think both of those guys could definitely hang with Perez and Ljungberg. So it's just Patrick Vieira who is really the X factor in all of this, and he's also a terrific player and a great leader, and he's like the full package, and every team could use a Patrick Vieira. So let's go up top, where Arsenal boasted Thierry Henry and Dennis Bergkamp, while City boasts Sergio Aguero, Raheem Sterling, and Leroy Sané. And I mean, Aguero could definitely run with Henry and Bergkamp, and there wouldn't be a drop-off if he was in the team. But Sterling and Sané, are they really in the same class as those other 2 guys? Maybe one day, but not this season. So in summation, I only have one thought. How did Arsene Wenger put that team together? They were so good. So I'm going to have to agree with Ashley Cole on this one and say that the Invincibles would not be beat by City. Very curious news item. Number 3. Gennaro Gattuso is actually in charge of a real team. And not just any team, but AC Milan, the former super club that's trying to be super once again, and where he was once a player for them for 13 years, where he won 2 Scudettos and 2 Champions League trophies by happily doing all of the dirty work in front of the back 4. So in many ways, I really feel like he could maybe be a huge success because he's a fiery leader, which means he's going to hold everyone accountable, no matter what their status is as a player, how big time these guys think they are. But passion can only get you so far, because at some point, the next step of gaining respect from the players is actually knowing the game and then being able to properly communicate what you want out on the field. And that is where Gattuso is going to have his biggest challenge, in my humble opinion, improving his calcio IQ. But you have to think that playing next to our Lord and Savior Andrea Pirlo for many years had to help him become smarter about the nuances of the game. There are no guarantees. Also, you gotta love Paulo Dybala's quote about Gattuso getting the job, where he said, "He used to give me advice on how I could position myself to avoid knocks. So in more than one training session, he would kick me just to teach me how to defend myself." I'm shaking my head, but I secretly love it. And I'm not usually a betting man, but after hearing this from Dybala, I would love to put some money on Milan leading the league in yellow and red cards at the end of the season. Do betting places take that bet? Because I would definitely throw some money down on that. Very curious news, Adam. Number 4, the second leg of the Copa Libertadores final is happening tonight. That is right, it is all going down in the second leg, with the Brazilian club Grêmio taking their 1-0 lead into Buenos Aires to take on an Argentine club in Lanús, who bills themselves as the biggest neighborhood club in the world, as they look to win their first Copa Libertadores trophy. However, everything points to Grêmio getting a result in this game, because they've been the better team throughout this competition than Lanús. They have more wins, they've scored more goals, they've conceded less goals, and their league form has been pretty good, all things considered, as they look to finish second to the mostly excellent Corinthians in the Brasileiro this season. But Lanús have been in this position before in the knockout rounds this season, losing the first leg in the last 3 rounds, including the final, but they've always found a way to come back and win in leg 2. They went down 2-0 in the quarterfinals to former champions of this competition, San Lorenzo, before winning 2-0 at home, which led to them winning in penalties. Then they went down 1-0. I was going to say nothing there, because you always give me a hard time there. 1-0 in leg 1 to former champions of this competition, River Plate, and then down 2 more goals at home. So they were losing 3-0 at halftime. So with 45 minutes to go, they needed to score 4 goals in the second half, and they scored 4 goals in the second half to get to the final. And now, as much as my head says that Grêmio has a better team and they're going to win, my heart feels like Lanús has them right where they want them. So this should be a great game to watch if you can find it. Very curious news item number 5. The second leg of the MLS Cup Semifinals are happening tonight and tomorrow night. And the Houston Dynamo, who finished at the bottom of the Western Conference last season, should find themselves pretty happy overall with how this season has gone for them, once the season is over, of course, as compared to last year, which I think is pretty obvious. But their season isn't over yet, though it's getting much, much, much closer, because they are down 2-0 after leg 1, and they now have to go to one of the loudest stadiums in all of MLS to get a big result against the defending MLS Cup champions, the Seattle Sounders, who have definitely picked the right time again to be in their best form of the season. And in the other semifinal, the record-breaking top team in the league, Toronto FC, with their recently named MLS Coach of the Year, Greg Fanny, who is a friend, so congrats to him. Welcome back 2 of the top attacking threats in the league, Sebastian Jovinko and Josie Altidore, after their suspension in leg 1. That was against the Columbus Crew, if you guys were unaware, which fortunately for Toronto, and their makeshift attacking lineup in place of those 2 superstars, ended in a 0-0 draw, which means TFC, who only lost 2 home games all season, head home for leg 2 with a chance to host MLS Cup for the 2nd consecutive year. But the Columbus Crew have this destiny thing going on, since the Crew owner stated before the playoffs started that he wanted to move the team to Texas once the season was over. And now it is on like Donkey Kong to save the Crew for the supporters. But can the Crew players save themselves in a game that they are not favored to win? Only time will tell. How's that for analysis? It's pretty good. But I told you guys earlier that I thought the Crew was going to do it. But now, after the first leg, it's gonna be harder. So that is it. That is all I got. So I'll catch you tomorrow for the subscriber giveaway, which, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, go to the one video I'm gonna put up at the end of this video, and then watch it, and then love it, then subscribe, and then leave a comment, and then you'll be entered to win. And yeah, I think that's it. So I'll see you tomorrow. Later.